I want to talk about a dirty little secret that nobody likes to talk about. One of the big adventure bikes, well, big bikes in general, but specifically the big adventure bikes. Everybody wants to add more horsepower, more displacement, more luggage, more blah 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 to make it bigger, better, faster. And the dirty little secret is the reason why I'm taking this, what should be an easier road. But I also wanted to record and maybe go back and compare and contrast the road conditions from now to what was the last time I was here, 6 weeks ago. It feels like it. But yeah, it's not, the sand is nowhere near as dangerous, or at least it doesn't feel as deep and broken up as the other route. But it's also the dirty little secret that I'm getting to the point now where my back is so sore and I've got so many injuries now that it's like, wow. I mean, I'm pretty sure the last time I dropped my bike, which was right around the corner, I could have gotten it up with enough rest and willpower. I could have gotten it up, use a little bit different technique, because I really wasn't that bad a shape. I was just shocked at how little strength I had. And that was the shocking part. I didn't seem to have it. It wasn't like my back was feeling like it was about to snap. It was just, I just couldn't do it. I couldn't pick the damn thing up. And it's like weakness from my ankles all the way up to my neck. It just felt weak. And it felt like, I felt like somebody else was trying to pick up my bike, some little tiny guy. And that's the dirty little secret, is these big heavy bikes. And this is on the lighter side of ADV bikes. That's why I like this so much. It weighs in 460 pounds, where a lot of the newer ones are 100 pounds or more than that. So you're starting out with a heavier bike, and you're loading it with a bunch of gear, which it all kind of adds up, especially if you're not going to the gym every week. I don't remember the last time I went to the gym. It's been a long time, and it's quite obvious to me now that I need to spend some more time working out. But given the fact that I had a long, hard day, not a long, hard day, it was very comfortable. But I've been staring at a computer screen for 6 hours, basically, sitting on my ass, and I'm just kind of mentally tired. And that kind of goes a long way with the physical part, too, because I'm pretty sure that's what happened to me the other day. Hadn't had any coffee. I was still just kind of waking up, and it was fully loaded bike, and just wasn't paying attention, and which is really odd for me, because sand usually gets my attention, especially when it's all loose like that, and it was. I guess I was just felt like I'd been down this road so many times that there's no surprises in this road, and there was, and there's a lot of surprises in this road here. This is the easier path. It's longer, but it's easier as long as you stay out of the ditch. As long as you can thread the needle, it's much easier road. It's got more obstacles, I would say. More turns, more obstacles. You got to pay attention, but you don't have to be 100% to ride this road. You could be about 40%, which is the way about what I feel like right now. I'm feeling about 40%, which is why I'm over here on the children's road. But if you will remember, I think it was the last time I rode this road on video. Well, actually, I didn't get video of that. But we had that long day in town because it was supposed to rain all day. And everybody but Gary, I think, chose to go to town and hang out in town rather than sit and watch the rain fall on your tent and your tarp all day. So we came back. The road was ultra saturated to the point that I've never seen it before. I slipped and slid like I never have before. And somebody who was on a freaking street bike, Alan, with little more than street tires. Those things had some deep grooves in them, but anything that's far from an off-road tire. Anyway, he got up into this corner up here, and it looked like the rear slipped out. I didn't see the wreck. I was too busy picking up Carl's drinking water. And here we're coming up on a little bit of loose sand, but it's not bad. Obviously, this road is heavier travel than the other one, and probably less side-by-sides. So it's less torn up, it's less disturbed, it's more flat and usable. And yeah, I'm taking this all for granted. I could probably roll into a ditch here. You just got to pay attention. Maintain control of your bike. But there comes the dirty little secret. What happens if you don't? What happens if you don't control your bike? What happens if you lose control? And you can have I guess I could call it a crash more than a drop. But it just because I was rolling when I dropped it. I was rolling as I dropped it, and I did the smart thing, which is save my body. Because my body's getting to the point where it's busted up so bad that it's possible I might not make it home if I keep trying to save this heavy bike from falling over, especially at speed. Now, I don't know, I'd probably going 5-10 miles an hour. Probably 8 miles an hour, that's what I would say, because it was loose. Well, shit, I'm doing 18 now. It could have been 15. It didn't feel like it. It felt like I was going really slow and just flop, flop, flop. Maybe that was the problem. I wasn't going fast enough. Wasn't going fast enough to stay on top of it. It wasn't really deep sand. It's just a whole lot deeper than this. And now we're getting to the tricky sections. You got to know what you're doing to navigate some of these obstacles. Don't stall your bike. Don't give it too much power. Don't bounce out of some of these holes into a ditch. And that's probably the most dangerous thing out here is bouncing and losing your line. And if you're not on a dirt bike and you ride a big heavy street bike in the dirt and you're bouncing along, most of these bikes don't have the best off-road suspension. They're just okay. If you're going too fast, you bounce. If either of your tires are in the air, you can't really steer. You can pretend to steer. You can push the bars one way or the other, but if your tires are in the air, just like if your tires are not spinning, it's the same thing. If your tires are not spinning, you can't steer. How's that one for a revelation there? Probably something a lot of people don't think about, because nobody thinks about what causes a crash, but I'll tell you for sure that's what will cause a crash. Wheels in the air, wheels not spinning. If you're rolling, if you're moving forward on your motorcycle, your tires should be spinning, your wheels should be spinning. If your wheels are not spinning, either you're not moving or your wheels are not spinning. And you can't steer when you're not moving, and you cannot steer when your wheels are not spinning. Now, you can push the bars, and people are going to get that confused with steering, but you're not steering if you're just pushing the bars. You really need to have those wheels spinning, both front and rear. And if you think about it long enough, you will see if your rear tire, you think that has no effect on your steering, but it absolutely does. Probably not as much effect as your front. But if your rear is in the air, the exact same as if your rear is locked up, you can't steer. You can make a suggestion. You can push the front wheel of the bike in one direction, but if your wheels are not spinning in the rear, you're not going to go in that direction very far. And this is where Alan dumped his bike, right here. And I'm not sure exactly what he did. He probably Tried to stay out of this crack and probably went a little wide. Luckily, he didn't put it in that ditch because that would have been nasty. There's been a lot of traffic on this one today. And luckily, we got him back up. Well, there's another example. Big ass pig of a motorcycle. I would say Alan probably could have picked that bike up by himself had it not been soapy slick out here. And it was. It was absolutely soapy slick. It was awful. But we got him up, and he didn't have too much trouble the rest of the way. I think that really got his attention. I'm not sure if he realized he was slipping and sliding before then. But, man, that big torque monster, it's basically a Goldwing. His Valkyrie is basically a Goldwing that looks more like a cruiser than a touring bike. But, yeah, so big, heavy machine, very torquey, lots of horsepower. Gets on it just a little bit, gets the rear to slip out just a little bit. He's going to maybe try to correct it with the front. It's probably just too late. It probably just slipped out from under him. I wouldn't want to ride that big beast out here. Same as I did want to ride Richard's bike. Man, riding that thing in the few spots that I rode it to help him, to get him clear, keep him from being injured, pinned up under his bike. The few times I rode it, I was like, oh, this is terrible. This is just too heavy. Sitting too low to the ground, which is the curse of the cruiser. Your ass is almost on the ground. You got no way to support your bike. You're supporting your bike with your ass and not your legs. That's why I don't ride a cruiser anymore. I had one. I put, 50,000 miles on one. And it was a fun bike. I enjoyed it. I had to learn how to ride it, and that blows people's mind, too. It's like, what do you mean you had to learn how to... Dude, I had to learn how to ride it. It's like riding a freaking... It was like nothing I'd ever ridden before, because it was the seating position, while comfortable sitting, coming to a stop, navigating any kind of rough terrain, anything like that, it's awful. Because your feet are forward. And all your musculature that you're using is coming from your ass. So, yeah. I don't want to down all the cruiser folks. Because a lot of them don't know any better. A lot of them have never ridden anything else. They don't know that, hey, man, get on a dirt bike and see what the difference is. You know, it's very light. You're centered over your body. Your feet are going to be below the mass of your body. So it's much easier to keep upright, much easier to handle. And people that have never ridden anything but a cruiser or a Harley or anything like that, they just don't understand. They don't understand. They have no idea what you're talking about. They think you're crazy. It's like, well, the crazy person is typically the one that has had the least experience. And I've had a great deal of experience riding all kinds of motorcycles because I'm not afraid of someone identifying. I think I missed my turn. No, I haven't gotten to the turn yet. That's the other thing about this route. It's confusing. It's a lot of turns. It's a lot of road. The other one, you just turn left off the interstate and come up the hill. Find a place to camp. Easy peasy. Yeah, anyway, I've covered a lot of miscellaneous topics on this little very, very slow ride with a very tired boy. And our turn's coming up here. Look at all the tents. The abandoned tents. Look at all the big heavy clouds that have just been sitting there most of the day. At least it's not raining here. I'm happy about that. Very happy. And I'll be happy to see all my stuff exactly where I left it too. That'd be nice. Yeah, I get that same question, and I always think about it. The question is, do do you ever worry about your stuff while you're gone? And I'm like, oh yeah, I worry about it. Mostly I worry about it before I leave, so I take care of stuff, make things less tempting, and then I'll worry about it on the way back. I hope my stuff's still there. But I mean, you gotta live your life, man. You gotta be able to enjoy camping, and if you're always worried about what could happen, you're not gonna have a good time. And I'll just about guarantee you, you know, be willing to part with the stuff that you could part with, and if it's really precious to you, don't leave it. Take it with you. Wow, look at those clouds. I have to do some filming at some point this evening. Let's get this big old bitch turned around and pointed in the other direction.